Do you have a child who is irresponsible, who doesn't listen, who doesn't do his chores, who doesn't do his homework? There's always an excuse, isn't there, for a task not completed by the child. I didn't have time, or I thought you meant, which is followed by an explanation of how they always understood the task to be less than you said, never more. Or, oh, I didn't know, or, but I had to do whatever, watch 3 movies first. It gets kind of old, doesn't it? It turns you into a nagging machine, having to follow them around and push them to do everything. They're not learning, and you're hating it. Would you not give almost anything to change this, like all of this? Sometimes you'd rather live on the moon than hear another excuse. Are you not tired of it? Well, there is a solution, and we're not talking about controlling or minimizing these behaviors. We're talking about eliminating them. Welcome to the answers you've been hoping for. For a long time now, you've been looking for ways to help your child, and I greatly admire what you're doing right now. You're looking for answers. You're trying to love your child, which is way more than most parents do. And finally, you're in the right place to learn how. It's like you've been paddling around in the middle of the ocean, desperately looking for help, and now, almost unbelievably, it's here. This is the ship you've been looking for. Now, how could I possibly make such a bold, even extravagant promise? Because I know how to teach parents how to help their children who complain and whine and make excuses about every responsibility they don't like, which is pretty much all of them. What I teach has been used by uncounted thousands of parents, and it works consistently. I'm not trying to sell you on something that we're going to do. No, you don't have to wait. The training begins right now. In the next few seconds, I'll be teaching you things about your children and yourselves that you've never known. What a relief to know that right now you're exactly where you've wanted to be. You can learn what you need to learn. Finally, you can feel encouraged. You can feel hope. You can help your child, and I'm going to help you do that. You wouldn't be here unless 2 things were true. First, you have a child who is not being responsible. Way too many excuses. And 2, you care enough to do something about it. I know you've tried to change things, certainly nagging, things you read in books and programs, yelling, controlling, but your child is still irresponsible, whines, complains, and makes excuses. And you are frustrated and, well, sick and tired. You've been looking for something that works, and here it is. Principles that have proven to work hundreds of thousands of times all over the world. If parents are thoroughly committed to learning and practicing what I'm going to share with you, predictably, I see children stop being irresponsible. It just goes away. And instead, they become happy and obviously responsible. After everything else has failed, you become pretty happy too. It is not hopeless. I'm here to help you, and I'll be using the insight and experience of counseling with thousands of parents and from writing 20 books and endless articles on the subject, as well as appearing on over 1,600 radio and television shows and presenting seminars all around the world, and much more. You are about to change the world around you, and finally, you don't have to do it alone, which is miserable and frustrating. You've already proven that with your own experience. So now the question that has to be on your mind: what am I going to teach you that you don't already know? What am I going to say that you haven't already read or heard somewhere else? This is going to be revolutionary for you to hear. So slow down your brain and listen with your soul. What does a child need more than anything else? We don't ask that question often enough. After food, water, and air, the answer is unbelievably obvious, and yet we keep missing it over and over. To see the answer more clearly and easily, let's start with an infant. When an infant cries, other than from obvious physical pain, what does he want? You already know because you just pick him up. You're pretty smart about that. You already know that every child wants to feel cared for. Every child wants to feel loved. Picking them up and holding them is just a physical demonstration of that. And if you're genuine in caring about them, they feel it. But infants are relatively easy to love. They smile and melt your heart and make cute little noises, and they laugh in ways that we don't hear anywhere else. They're adorable. But when they get older, they learn to spill things, make messes, ferociously say no when you tell them what to do, scream in their car seat, fight with their siblings, refuse to listen to you, say ugly and hateful things to you and other people, and make excuses for what they know they were supposed to do. They can become incredibly irresponsible, almost like mind-bendingly. They get a lot harder to love. And when that happens, we really don't know what to do. Usually we try to control their behavior, and we might even temporarily succeed. But it doesn't last, and we end up with irresponsible and unhappy kids. We're not so happy either. Let me say this another way. If our children become more difficult to love as their behavior changes, that proves that we don't know how to love them unconditionally. If we did love them unconditionally, we'd love them no matter what. But if loving them becomes more difficult when they don't do anything they're supposed to do, for example, our love is conditional. Unconditional love, or what I call real love, the real thing, means caring about another person without wanting anything from them in return. But we do expect something in return for loving our kids. We expect respect, cooperation, gratitude, and some kind of reasonable behavior, which includes being more responsible and not requiring us to nag them all day long. Now, more about unconditional love. That kind of love would mean that our love would not be affected by what they do. That's what unconditional love means. But we really don't know how to do that. How do I know? We prove it every time we become angry or disappointed or impatient or irritated with them. Our anger and disappointment and frustration are undeniable proof, not just evidence, proof that our love is not unconditional. Deep inside, you know that what I'm saying is true, but let me demonstrate it a little further. When other people are angry at you, do you like it? No, you don't. Not ever. Nobody does. When other people are angry at us, or when we're angry at other people, we are all saying, look at what you did to me, or failed to do for me. When we're angry, we are focused on ourselves. Me, me, me. And in that moment, other people, notably our children, hear only 4 words. I don't love you. When we're angry, we're simply far too occupied with ourselves to unconditionally love anybody. I repeat, when we're angry at another person, including our child, they hear only, I don't love you. I promise you that this is true. And no, we don't mean to say that. But what else could people hear while our words, tone of voice, and behavior are screaming, me, me, me? I don't love you is what you hear and feel when people are angry at you. Think about it, honestly. And it's what our children hear and feel when we're angry at them. Again, we do not mean to do this. We do not mean to hurt our children. Of course we don't. But it was inevitable because we were not loved unconditionally, which means being consistently loved with no disappointment or anger. It means being loved freely without conditions. So how could we possibly have learned how to unconditionally love our own children? Impossible. Nobody is to blame. Our ignorance of real love simply perpetuated it over generations. We don't know how to love unconditionally because we've never seen it or felt it with any consistency. For emphasis, I'm going to say all of this in a slightly different way. When children behave badly, when they consistently fail to do what you've told them to do, to be responsible, for example, it is almost always a reaction to them not feeling loved unconditionally, which means to be loved with no disappointment, irritation, frustration, or anger. This could sound a little discouraging, even bleak. Well, overall it is bleak. Look at the world, at the utter obsession with things that are distractions from our pain, from our not feeling loved, like endless entertainment, addiction to electronics, anger, controlling people, drugs, alcohol, sex, and on and on. There, in all of those addictions and all of those behaviors, is the proof that overall we do not know how to love people unconditionally. If we did, and I speak here with vast experience, these behaviors I just listed would not exist. I've been teaching unconditional love now for so many years to so many parents that I can tell you this with complete certainty. When a child feels loved unconditionally, he or she does not complain and make excuses about what they were supposed to do, but didn't. Instead, they're simply responsible and happy and possess all those qualities you wish they had, including being responsible. With sufficient love, children enjoy being responsible. I know, unimaginable. They enjoy the freedoms and privileges that come from responsible behavior. Happy people like the feeling of accomplishing things and of being a contribution to the family. They simply don't resist doing what's right. Period. Full stop. So that is what I'll be teaching you. How to love your children unconditionally, which then gives them, finally, a reason to listen to you. How many times have you wondered in your own head, what is wrong with this kid? Why does this kid never listen to a thing I say? Well, there's an answer. And here it is. Because when you're irritated, your child hears only, I don't love you. And that is so devastating that he or she hears none of the rest of the content of what you say. If you love them unconditionally, they can hear you. They can hear what you're really saying because they're not distracted by their fear, not blinded and deafened by the I don't love you message. Then it becomes possible for you to teach them anything, like how to be loving and responsible themselves. And if they have that powerful trifecta, if they feel loved and they're loving and responsible, they are guaranteed to lock to be happy, which is the ultimate goal for any parent or, frankly, any person. Your children can learn that being happy and being responsible is way better, way more fun than avoiding responsibility, than making excuses. They like being responsible when they feel loved. Take my hand and we'll talk about what you can do and how I will support you. It will almost be like starting over in parenting. You're going to learn how to be a real parent, and your child will learn the lessons of life that will benefit him or her for the rest of their lives. If you implement what you learn here, and if you do it consistently, you simply will not believe the differences you'll see in your child, and in you, and in your family. Imagine it. No more whining or complaining when they're told to do their chores or homework or any kind of, the W word, work, horror. No more lies, no more ugly words, no more tension in the family. It's astonishing to see and feel. Our children are not bad. They're not defective. We're not bad. We just have not known how to love and teach them. What we're doing now with our kids is just not working. Loving and teaching them does. Rarely is it too late to change whatever unproductive behaviors you're dealing with. Not if you're really willing to learn and to apply these principles to the interactions with your child. I can promise you, learning how to be a great parent, a real parent, is worth it. We're about to learn how to eliminate the behaviors in your children that are hurting them and making you crazy. Really. I make you another promise. Learning to be a loving, effective parent is easier than everything else you've done as a parent up to this point. We're really going to get into this. This is not a casual effort. We're not looking to make your children more manageable. That's not even close to being enough. Our mission is to help you become a powerful and effective parent, and to help your child feel loved and to be loving, responsible, and genuinely happy. It's a transformation. If you are truly committed to learning how to parent, I'm fully committed to teach you, and I will bring resources to the table you never thought about. The rewards are spectacular, as we have seen in uncounted thousands of families. There is not a single thing you will ever do that will ring through the ages more powerfully than being a loving and effective parent. You can do this. So let's learn some more. Let's get started. Click the button below. It's free to begin transforming your life as a ridiculously effective parent.